Hi everyone. So this is our fourth module in English 7, our lesson 4 for the first quarter about direct and indirect speech. So what are the expected learning outcomes for this lesson? 1.1, determine the correct form of the verb for the sentence context. 1.2, use direct and reported speech appropriately in varied context. And 1.3, change direct speech to indirect speech or vice versa maybe. The big idea about this lesson, there exist only two options when we need to convey other people's words. They are direct and indirect speech. The former can also be referred to as quoted speech, while the latter bears such names as reported speech or indirect discourse. Unfortunately, the use of direct and indirect speech often becomes a source of typical grammatical errors in a piece of writing. To master this grammar issue, you should get the hang of the main distinctions between direct and indirect speech. So let's start. So let's move directly to the discussion of the lesson. Direct and indirect speech. There are two ways to convey or report a message spoken by a person. They are direct and indirect speeches. Direct speech or reported speech is conveying the words exactly the way it was spoken, whereas indirect speech is expressing the spoken words or the substance of what was spoken in your own words. The words in the direct speech are within the inverted commas, collectively called the reported speech. And the verb that introduces the reported speech is called the reporting verb, like said or says. The reported speech always begins with a capital letter and is encoded within inverted commas and separated from the reporting verb with a comma. Whereas the indirect speech, there are no inverted commas used and the reporting verb isn't separated from the reporting speech. So again, there are the direct speech and indirect speech. Examples, in the direct speech, he said, comma, and then open and close quotation marks, I will go to the market. In the indirect speech, you are going to report what has been said. He said that he would go to the market. So you see the difference? In the above example, the word said is the reported verb. This said and this said. And I will go to the market is the reported speech. So you see the difference in the direct and the indirect. In the direct, you have the use of comma to separate the reported speech from the reported verb. In the indirect, and also the reported speech should be enclosed with open and closed quotation marks. In the indirect speech, there are no internal punctuations anymore. So there is no comma after said, and the part that I will go to the market is reported as that he would go to the market. So please take note of the changes that happened in the indirect speech. But before we go on with the discussion of the direct and indirect, let us first review the four types of sentence. The very basic declarative, interrogative, imperative, and exclamatory. Why we need to review all this? Because in the indirect and direct speech, there are different ways of changing the direct speech to indirect speech on these different types of sentences. So let us review what is a declarative sentence. A declarative sentence, this makes a statement or expresses an opinion. These sentences end with a full stop or period. Example, he is a good person. So that is declarative. Interrogative asks question. These often begin with question words like what, who, which, how, and the others. And of course, end with question mark. Example, how is the weather? So you have there the question mark, and of course, this is a question word. Imperative sentence. These sentences make a request or give a command. Uh, and end either with a full stop or an exclamation mark or exclamation point. So maybe when someone is making order and then that someone has intense emotion, so it could be expressed with exclamation mark. So example, please enter the room. So the use of please here signifies that this is a request, so not a direct command. And the last type of sentence is exclamatory. Exclamatory expresses an emotion, joy, sorrow, excitement, and ends with exclamatory mark or exclamation point. What a beautiful cake is an example of exclamatory sentence. Okay, so that would be all for the first part of our video. And the next video will continue the content of this module. Thank you very much, everyone.